The leaks for chapter 357 were not what I was expecting. In this video, we see Blue Lock going on the counter, but I know you guys don't like being spoiled, so you will have to wait to know more. However, trust me, the ending after that is just crazy. Also, as you know, the person that I usually get the leaks from, well, his track record is pretty bad, so take these leaks with a big grain of salt. But so as not to waste any time, let's get right into it. Alright, so chapter 357, also called Double Wing. It starts where it left off in the previous chapter, believe it or not, but we learn and get to break down the mechanics of Teddy's cut from the previous chapter in which he scored. It says that his dribbling technique was used to slice directly into the center of the battlefield. It continues as it says that while an average player might master 2 or 3 variants of this move, Teddy possesses an astonishing 7 different types of cut-ins, which, not to be that guy, are pretty impressive. Anyway, this makes it so that it's cemented as his greatest weapon, and the reason he holds a spot in the new Gen World 11, and as we saw in the last chapter, he really deserves that place of his. We continue with the story, as the text explains that the scoreboard updates to reflect England's early dominance, with them now leading with 1 goal. On the sidelines we have this gremlin-looking rat, who is otherwise known as Fox. He can be seen gloating about his creation, claiming that Teddy was nothing more than a blank canvas filled with pure white desire. Fox explains to us that by giving players like Teddy a good dream and joy, and taking absolute control over them, humans can be turned into the ultimate perfect dolls. And other than the fact that his entire sentence right there gave me the creeps, I really wonder about Teddy's backstory, and why he was, like Fox said, a blank canvas. Like what could have happened to him before and made him so emotionless? Or he might have just been born like that, like Hugo. Or he could have been like Say, and had an interaction that pretty much left him scared for life. Now back to Fox, who can be seen mocking Blue Lock's current state. Fox taunts Ego, noting that he's been awfully quiet compared to his big mouth in France, and calling the Japanese players trash. However, if you thought that it would get under Ego's skin, then I can let you know that it's not the case, as he coldly just starts to adjust his glasses and tells Fox that he still hasn't changed. He goes to Fox and tells him straight up that he promises to carve his modern era of football into Fox until he completely destroys him. Fox, who I'm guessing is scared to the max by the mighty Ego, tries to laugh off the threat and starts to dare Ego to try his best against his perfect team. Now, I like when people are confident. However, something about Fox truly gets under my skin. We then seem to leave the coach's bee for a minute, as we instead head right over to the pitch. Here, we see the main boy, Isagi, being locked in a state of deep tactical despair. Isagi continues to tap into his mind, as he thinks that his entire playstyle relies on devouring his opponent's ego. But since this England team operates entirely as egoless puppets, he has absolutely nothing to devour. Now, I'm not sure if that line is correctly translated, but if it is, then I can guarantee you guys that the match will end with Isagi rage-baiting Teddy to make him tap into his ego for Isagi to just devour his ego and win them the game. Like, is it just me? Or wouldn't that be the perfect setup? Enough with my yapping, however, and back to Isagi, who notes that he understands that to survive this world of winning and losing, he must figure out how to break through Fox's unreadable tactics and find his own place to shine, and that's why he is Blue Lock's knight in shining armor, as he never stops working overtime. After that, we see that the match resumes with a fierce restart text, I guess, and with that it shifts to an offensive focus, and more onto Yukimiya, which literally made me so happy, because finally we see some of the lesser known players in the games, even though he is far from lesser known, but he isn't in the main squad, I would say. And Yukimiya starts off with a bang right away, as we head into a flashback that reveals Yukimiya's intense training 55 days prior, where he studied the Japanese sword technique of Iaido, to master the transition between absolute stillness and motion. Back to Yukimiya, where it says that by applying Lido's concept of an instantaneous strike from a sheathed, standstill state to his dribbling, Yukimiya has developed an explosive new movement built on superhuman muscle sensation. We then head back to the present, and here we see him unleashing this technique, blasting past the first English defender in the blink of an eye. Recognizing the danger of his one-on-one abilities, 3 England defenders, including the GOAT, immediately swam to Yukimiya to shut him down, and just that is so much aura. Having to get 3 players on a single player shows just how much of a beast he is. But instead of forcing his way through the crowded defense, Yukimiya makes a rapid tactical decision and passes the ball outward. Now, who does this GOAT pass to? Well, he passes to yet another GOAT as the pass connects perfectly with Zantetsu, who is already primed in a sprinter's set position. And yeah, this just brings me tears of joy. Seeing both Zantetsu playing and going all out is enough to make you cry. Back to the topic, as we see Zantetsu, who explodes forward with a terrifying initial velocity, dominating the right flank, and earning the title of the right wing's hunter. Now I know that I have been talking a lot already, but guys, how cool isn't that nickname? The right winger's hunter actually goes so insanely cold, and that's not the only thing that is cold, as he can be seen driving deep into England's territory, and then right after that, he launches a high-speed cross directly into the penalty box. Right then and there, we see Shido, who leaps into the air to receive the cross, praising Zantetsu, or as Shido calls him, Double Glasses, for his perfect delivery. But just then, we can see that Agi immediately jumps up to mark Shido in the air, determined to stop his evolution and shut down the shot, which is honestly pretty smart, because I feel like when Shido gets his first goal, he will then become unstoppable. However, it seems that none of that happens as Agi realizes too late that Shido isn't aiming for the goal. Instead of shooting, Shido executes a cheeky layoff pass, shocking Isagi, who notes that Shido is actively constructing the game around himself. Now I understand Isagi because it isn't just him who is surprised, since I am also a bit caught off guard by Shido's pass. Anyway, the pass lands perfectly at the feet of Kiora, who has spotted the overflowing ego in the play. Now that's not where I would have guessed that the ball was coming from, but honestly, I am all here for it. We get towards Kiora, who looks really locked in, and he starts to vow to crush the puppet core. He then starts to wind up for a devastating strike, right at the boundary of victory. The final page showcases a dramatic action-packed angle from behind Kiora as he winds up his leg for a massive, full-power strike right in front of the goal. Lastly, a massive bold declaration dominates the bottom of the page as it says Devour, and Kiora is close to making contact with the ball. It sounds like the next title will be called Dimension Break, which sounds extremely cold to be fair, but I'm honestly a bit in shock. When reading the leaks, I was not expecting the ball to go to Kiora. Now I'm super happy that it went there as Kiora is super cool, and I like his character a lot. However, I'm not sure if firstly I see him scoring, and even if he is going to score the goal in the next chapter, then I'm not entirely sure whether I would like it or not. As I previously said, I like Kiora. However, him scoring the first goal feels a bit wrong in my opinion, and just super random. I much prefer Kiora to be that player that comes every blue moon and makes a super deciding play. A play so vital that it will decide the entire game. Now don't get me wrong, a goal is obviously that. However, I just feel like the build up for that is a bit wrong and lackluster. And to be honest, with all of that in mind, I don't see Kiora scoring. I do see him shooting the ball towards the goal and missing or getting blocked. But even with that said, I do see Blue Lock scoring a goal. So I do feel like someone will then come by and finish what Kiora had started. Who that will be, I'm unsure of right now. I can say that I don't see it being Isagi at the very least. Hiyori wasn't mentioned in this chapter, so he might be laying somewhere hiding. So maybe him. We also know from the France game that he is very ready and wanting to score goals, so he could be a shout for sure. But giving him goals back to back would be a bit wild. But I'm here for it. I talked a lot about my thoughts, so please let me know yours down in the comments about all of this. Now before ending it, I want to talk a bit more about Yukimiya and Zantetsu. It isn't going to be anything deep, but I just really like that they finally got to cook. On top of that, we had Shido, who was willing to pass. Now I'm still unsure if I like Shido passing or not. I know that it might sound silly, but Shido being someone who never passes just sounds kinda cool, even if it would never work out in the story anymore, since it's the World Cup after all. Anyway, from these leaks alone, I would give this chapter a decent 7 out of 10, but please let me know what you would give it and what your favorite moment was. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like. Also, if you can, hype the video down below, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.